Hey everyone, so recently I made a video talking about the Nautilus Canyon and all the ways in which I think it falls a little short. Well, today I wanted to talk about one of those reasons, which was the weight. To me, the canyon is just a little bit heavier than my preferences, because my preferences are light balisongs. I like light balisongs, and it's not just me, it's a much bigger part of the community, because I feel that over the past few years we've really seen this shift towards the community's preferences to a much lighter balisong. And I want to talk about that. So I like light balisongs. The canyon, little heavy for me. And for me, I feel that mostly stems from the fact that I originally started on a fully steel, super heavy balisong, and then I got a squiddy seat. So I used a squiddy for a very long time, got super used to that. Eventually, with not counting the Bermuda, I went and I moved to the Nautilus as my main balisong. And the Nautilus is also a very light balisong. So for about a year, the only things I really flipped were light to super light balisongs. And I think that had a very big part in defining my preferences for lighter balisongs. Which is why now I much prefer balisongs like my Vulp Pro, or my original Vulp even, to ones like the Canyon. And I think that I think it's definitely interesting to see the community shifting towards liking lighter balisongs. Now, I know that for me personally, there's a few reasons why I prefer lighter balisongs other than what I said. Of course, it's true that lighter balisongs are kind of what I started with, so that's where I feel the most comfortable, is on these lighter balisongs. But another part of it is that I flip a lot in my daily life. Like, we're talking probably a total time of at least 2 hours. It could be more, it could be a little less. You know, it's a lot of like intermittent flipping, like, oh, I'm walking from this room to the other, I'm just mindlessly flipping. Or like, oh, I'm loading into a game, I'm mindlessly flipping. A lot of things like that. Slippery elm leaf right here. Don't want to take these things and do that. It like stings. But plant rant aside, so I flip quite a lot in my daily life. Like about 2 hours a day probably. And for me, if I flip my heavier balisongs all day, my wrists tend to get sore. And obviously that's not good. If you're ever flipping and you start to have pain in your hands or your wrists, you should stop flipping. But of course, you and many others probably won't. I tend not to completely stop. I do slow down. It's so windy. But the biggest thing that I do when my wrist starts to hurt is, well, other than flipping with a different hand, that also helps, switch hands, I switch to my lighter balisongs. Because lighter balisongs have less weight to them, it's a lot less strain on your wrist and your hands. And that's a big part of why I don't like these heavy balisongs, because I can flip a balisong like the Canyon and I can get used to the weight, and the weight doesn't bother me too much. It's a little heavier, but it's okay, my fingers can deal with it. But then the problem is my wrist will start hurting, and then I have to stop flipping. So for me, I would rather flip something lighter like the Nautilus or Vulp Pro, where I can flip all day without any pain, than flipping something heavy where I have to flip less due to injuries. And I think that could also be a big part as why the community in general is shifting towards lighter balisongs. Lighter balisongs just allow you to flip more. You can flip harder, faster, potentially. And lighter balisongs allow for tricks like ricochets way better. You're able to change the momentum because there's just less momentum to change. Now, of course, you know, there's a whole part of it is the balance of the balisong, but weight is a pretty big deal. And I just kind of wanted to talk about that and why I think lighter balisongs are just kind of, they're the thing for me, and I know a lot of other people. Okay, throw it into the ground. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts on balisong weight preference. I mean, I saw someone earlier today that was saying they love heavy balisongs, so I know it's purely a preference thing, but everyone's different. But yeah, if you guys have video suggestions, please leave them in the comments below, please. Hope you've all had a wonderful day. Yeah, until next time, hope that you all keep flipping.